Hey everybody, welcome to etrailer.com. I'm Bobby, and today we're taking a look at the Swagman XC2 2-bike platform rack here on our 2021 Nissan Kicks. So this is going to be a pretty decent way of getting your bikes to the trailhead. What I like about it, it's really lightweight, it's not going to break the bank, and it just does a great job of holding onto our bikes. Why that is, we do have these nice open hoop style kind of cradles, making it easier for our wheels to actually sit in. Now, one thing I'll say, maybe if you have some really big wide tires that don't like to dip down in here nearly as much, that might be an issue. That's the one thing I kind of watch out for, because at that point, they're just kind of, there's no hold on them, right? They're just kind of moving around. But if you do have just your standard tires here today, nothing too crazy, I think they do a great job of actually fitting in there and then having that securance. And of course, we do have our frame contact here right in the center, doing a great job of holding onto our frame and giving us that downward pressure on our bike. That way it gets there safe and sound. Now, because we have that frame contact and especially that downward pressure, we're not going to be able to carry carbon frame bikes on here. That's one big kind of caveat I'll give you with this guy. Just because we have that frame contact, we don't want to be damaging those bikes, and therefore not going to be a good fit for us here today. But one thing that is kind of interesting about it, it becomes a very versatile bike rack. You can see that bottom arm there can get really low. So even some step-through bikes have a pretty A-OK time latching onto this guy because of how low it gets. Now, you are going to have a point of no return, though. Eventually, you're going to be kind of free right here. So you can't go too far. You only have really about right there to go ahead and secure your bike. Otherwise, it's going to want to pop up. But that aside, still very versatile, and I really like how that works. And speaking about what kind of bikes we can get on here, we do have a 35-pound capacity rating for both, or for each individual bike. So that's actually pretty nice. Even with a lightweight bike, we're getting that 35. Kind of opposed to a 30 that you might kind of see from some of the other platform styles out there. One thing that's nice about these cradles too, they are adjustable. All you got to do, Lefty Loosey on that knob and shift it over. One thing I would suggest though, giving yourself a little bit of lubrication there, just to assist it a little bit. We can definitely start kind of working off that finish. As you guys are seeing, this guy's been in the shop for a long time. But other than that, it's really nice that you have that versatility. I can shift this around for my different wheelbases. I got somebody smaller with me. I can bring it in. I bring out my mountain bike buddy. I can bring it out wider. Whatever need we might have, we're going to be able to account for it, which is really nice. Now, we don't actually have a way of tilting this away. That's one thing that I'll say is kind of lacking. But again, that's a premium feature that we're definitely going to have to kind of look for in those more expensive options, obviously. So that's kind of what we got. But we still have a lot of different ways of getting our hatch open. What we're going to have to do is actually get our bike off first. Before we do that, let's take a look here and see how it's interacting with our kicks. So I like how we're actually sitting a little bit lower than our taillights here. Why that is, I've tried a different couple platform racks out there, and our tires were just so happen to kind of sit right where that taillight is. Now, that's not the end of the world for them, and especially here too, we have that good distance. People are going to see where we're at. Not going to have too many interaction there, which is really nice. Love that I actually have that capability of seeing through there. The rear window here, you're going to lose a little bit on those handlebars and those seat posts, and that's going to be a little bit up to us at home, just depending on how much accessories we actually have on our bikes. Our backup camera, unfortunately, is kind of right there in the middle, and I think that is going to be kind of eating up a lot of that center mass. And then obviously, as you get more frames in there, going to have a little bit more loss of vision. But that's kind of something that's going to happen with almost any carrier you throw on the back of your vehicle. To get our bike off is really straightforward, though. All we have to do is actually utilize our ratcheting arm system. Of course, it's not going to be moving unless I actually press in that little button right there. To do that, all we have to do, press it, take this arm off. I like taking it off all the way and letting it hang by my hoops. That makes it a lot easier to simply grab your bike, walk it off, and that way you're all ready to ride. And in my mind too, keeping it off for mounting becomes really easy, because all you have to do, walk your bike up, set it in, hold it with your hand, walk your other one up, start cinching it down, and then you're nice and secure. Now, to actually get access to our hatch, what we have to do is actually drop this center mass. To do that, we have a little pin here. All I got to do, pull it by the ring, just like so. That's going to allow me to tilt this guy out of the way, and now I can go ahead to my kicks here, pop open my hatch. Now I can get those coolers, bike helmets, anything else we might need. One thing that can be nice too with XC2, which is kind of unique, you can bring this arm back in, obviously latch it, then you can unlatch this guy, bring him up, and then you could secure both of them here. Now, I'm not going to do that here today, so it's going to speed up time, but I do like how that could give you quick access here to the back, and especially if you guys are just hanging out at the trailhead, it becomes really nice to keep your coolers, snacks, anything like that, and have everybody walk up and have that quick access without having to take off our carrier. That way, when we're done, it's ready to go. And it really doesn't take any time at all to do those modifications. It's just these little pins that just do a great job of actually securing it and holding it in. It can take just a little wiggle, though, just to find it. And, of course, I'm going to need to drop this so I can actually drop my hatch. But I love that I have that quick access, even though I do have to take the bikes off. I think it's just going to be nice at the trailheads where we actually might be. Now, one thing I'll say about this position as well, that becomes excellent of actually folding in both of your arms. And that becomes really nice when you guys want to have this inside your house or your garage and not eat up too much space. That's a huge advantage over this carrier, especially compared to some of your more static tray-style platform racks. They just don't have the collapsible footprint that this does. Makes it really, really nice for like apartment dwelling, which is great. But we do have a couple dimensions we want to keep in mind here. The first one that's pretty big here is going to be our clearance to the ground. So we have a couple different wonky ones to kind of get here. The first one I'm going to get is our furthest point to our hoop here. So from the ground to the end of our hoop, that's putting us at 16 1/4 of an inch, already somewhat low. And the one thing I'll say to that too, I would just go ahead and tell ourselves, let me see if I can't get this guy to work for me. I'd probably put it about 15 3/4 of an inch, where most of our standard tires are going to be falling, because remember, we are kind of keeping them inside this hoop, and a little bit does dip down. And if you do have smaller widths of tires, they might want to sink in a little bit. So just watch it as you are loading up your bikes. And one other dimension I want to give us is just our last little point of contact here. And that's going to put us right about 13 1/2 inches to the underside, right about there. Now, why that's important, that is kind of low in my mind. And if we do have any severe terrain that we're going to be approaching, like an incline, as those front wheels go up, the back will go down, and so will your hitch-mounted accessories. So with this guy, I definitely kind of watch it. 16 is not the worst, but it definitely isn't easy breezy, right? It's definitely something we're just going to be conscious of. Just take those inclines slow. Make sure you're not having any contact, and if you do, well, at that point, we might just have to take our bikes off and port it up that hill for a little bit. So that would definitely be terrible. 16 inches, though, not going to be a huge concern unless you have a maybe you're in San Fran, right? Then maybe we have an issue. That's all I'm trying to say. But otherwise, that's not going to be to the end of the world for ourselves. And let's go ahead and see how much length we're actually adding on to the back of our vehicle. So our furthest point here is going to be our arms. So let's see, from the back of that bumper here today to the very end, that's going to put us right at 19 inches. So definitely a little length to consider, and keep in mind, we don't have a way of shortening that down. That is going to be a static element. If we do have issues pulling in our garage, we're probably going to have to end up taking our carrier off. But again, what's nice, it's lightweight, it's easy to fold, and it really doesn't take up too much room. Moving our way down to the inside, though, here you can see that we have our 1 1/4 shank here naturally. However, we also do have a 2-inch sleeve converter, allowing us to be utilized by both our 2-inch and our 1 1/4 hitches. On the inside of that, too, you are seeing a threaded anti-rattle hitch bolt. Now, these guys are pretty standard across the industry, but you still love to see them. They're going to be taking all that shake and play that our carrier is going to have and really, really reducing it and bringing it in line to the frame of our vehicle. As you guys are going to see, as I give this a shake, it's going to be shaking the entirety of our kicks, letting me know we're nice and in line. And that just makes for a nicer, smoother ride for ourselves, our bike rack, but especially our bikes. Well, again, guys, the Swagman XC2 is just a very decent way of getting your bikes to that trailhead. Personally, it'd probably be my pickup. I just like how lightweight it is, how it's not going to break the bank. And again, I know that I'm getting a secure hold on my bike. Now, maybe if you find yourself doing a lot of kind of cross country, a lot of rough terrain, this might not be the most secure bike rack out there. At that point, I might start looking at something that actually is going to give you more than just a single point of contact on your bike. But again, road bikes, things like that, and going up to a trailhead that's a pretty decent paved road, I don't think we're going to have any issues. Otherwise, though, guys, I think that about does it for our look here today at the Swagman XC2 2-bike platform rack here on the back of our 2021 Nissan Kicks. I'm Bobby. Thank you for watching.
This is our test course. Let's start with the slalom. This shows side-to-side action, such as turning corners or evasive maneuvering. Then, onto our alternating speed bumps. This shows twisting action, such as hitting curbs, potholes, road debris, or even uneven pavement. Last of all, the solid speed bumps. This shows up and down action, such as driving through a parking lot or parking garage, or driving in and out of a driveway.